Hey guys, this is Michael. I normally make videos for Elite Traders University, and I thought I'd make a video today on the crypto market, seeing as this is why everyone's in the group. So just looking at the total crypto market cap, notice that we've had a previous breakout here back in October and moved up very strongly, came back and tested that level, and then with the flash crash last Saturday, notice that we stopped down into the previous place of support, which was expected, and we closed up higher above the moving averages. Now, this is really a critical juncture for the crypto market, because if we look at the weekly chart, we get the close of the weekly candle sometime today. And if we break down below the low of this green candle, then we're definitely moving into a very bearish scenario for the next possibly couple of months. What we need is a break above the high of this inside bar. So this is what's called an inside bar. A break above this bar will get us back on track into the altcoin bull market. Now, it's possible that Bitcoin could go down a lot more, simply because when the Bitcoin sellers liquidate their positions, a lot of their profits go into the alt markets, because the alt market runs behind the Bitcoin bull cycle. So notice how on the daily chart prices come down, respected the moving averages back here in October. When we broke down, we've still respected the 200 moving average. So this is our spike low. Notice that when price came down a second time, we respected the moving average there, and as we came down last night, we respected the moving average there again. That's a very strong sign. So if we break below that low, we are definitely looking at least another test of the spike low. So we'd be looking at least something like that again. Okay, another test. So what we really need to do is we actually need to break above this line that I've drawn, this diagonal line, and that would coincide very nicely with a possible trend line that we have here in our chart, which has been broken on the 4-hour chart but needs to be broken on the daily chart. And once we have a break above these former highs, which are indicated just here, once we break above those highs, we're back on track to continue our bull market into the end of the year. Now, something that's worth noting is that a number of large hedge funds and institutional investors actually will sell a portion of their holdings that they've been holding throughout the year to actualize, very good P&L line for their balance sheet. So that will happen before the end of the year, and that's possibly the reason for part of the sell-off, is actually to lock in those gains. And then coming into January, they have a fresh strategy for the year for their funds, and they're looking at buying. So often January and February is a time of intense buying and demand, where they stock up for the coming year. So January and February could be looking at a time where the market's very strong. However, if we fail to break above this zone this week, then we're definitely looking at either sideways consolidation or bearishness for the next little while. So if we take those thoughts and look at the Bitcoin chart, what we can do is we see very clearly that Bitcoin has broken its trend line, double top, broke at the trend line. Notice that when we've come up again, we've retested that trend line and we've rejected it. Now, the other really important thing to note is that when we see this drop back here in September, we respected the 200 moving average and we bounced off it very strongly. And every time we've done that, here we go, the 200 moving average respected. Back here, the 200 moving average respected very strongly. And we can actually play this all the way back. But at least in the three closest historical circumstances, the 200 moving average has been respected very strongly. Here we closed down through it, and now we broke up and rejected off it, and notice that we are rejecting it again this morning. So in order for Bitcoin to be positive at all, we need to break above this trend line, which will lift us above the moving average if we get a close in the daily chart. above this rising trend line, that will get us back in play for some bullishness into the end of the year. If that does not happen, if we don't break above this level, it's almost guaranteed we'll make a double top and will probably come down, at least test the bottom again, and possibly could go lower. So these are my thoughts for Bitcoin. These are my thoughts for the total market. Obviously there's a lot of other coins out there we could look at, but these are the biggest ones that typically lead the market: Bitcoin and the old crypto cap market. Maybe if we just have a quick look at Ethereum, it's quite a different chart, and maybe it's helpful that we look at it because similar pattern, and these dotted lines are just a few alarms I have here, so just forget about those. Notice that after we broke through this pattern and came back down, notice where our selling pressure stopped, right at the apex of this rising trend line and this breakout trend line. So that was why I actually bought that at market. So when price came down, I bought at market right at that juncture, somewhere just in there, without even waiting for confirmation, because that was an important juncture. Notice that price closed above the moving average, and we then had this huge wick. Now price has come back down again and has tested the moving average again. In fact, let me just remove these deletes because they are in the way. So you can see that price has once again bounced off the 100 moving average and the rising trend line, which is a really good sign. So I believe that Ethereum is actually much more bullish than Bitcoin right now. And if we actually move down to the 4-hour chart, what we can actually see is this reversal pattern at the moment. Now, this is the reversal pattern that I learned years ago, and it's similar to a head and shoulders. However, you have one spike high or spike low, and then on either side of that you will have 3 rejections. Now you can have 2 on one side and 1 on the other, or one on one side and 2 on the other. It doesn't really matter, but typically you will have 3 rejections. So here's 1, 2, and you can typically draw a trend line across those rejections. So this is a very, very classic bullish reversal pattern. So I actually see Ethereum going higher from here if we can still hold above this rising trend line. Now again, with the sell-off that we had in the end of last week, price was unable to push lower through that trend line and unable to even hit the former lows. And if we have a look at the hourly chart, notice that when we broke down and bounced back up, we formed this really nice consolidation pattern, which tells us that once we got the push up from the low, once we pushed up from here, there weren't many sellers interested in continuing the trend down. Now notice that price came up here into the moving averages, and if this was a strong trend down, we would typically see a continuation. But notice that price held this floor across the middle here, and then price has now broken out of that range very strongly and closed above the 100 moving average. Now notice that, yes, of course, we did pause at the 200 moving average on the hourly chart. That's normal, and but we have broken above 2 of the moving averages on a lower time frame. So on Ethereum, I'm actually we're always looking for a trend line break to confirm that the trend is turning around. This is the trend line that we're looking at. But if we get a break above the 200 moving average on the hourly chart, that would give us cause to think that we possibly turn around higher for the next few days. Now our first level to look out for is the 423 level. This is the supply zone back on the 10th of December, and obviously once we break through this trend line, then we are actually probably heading up to first important spot is the 4600 level. This is the outbreak of that huge sell-off. That's the most important level to watch right now. Once we break through that, it's almost guaranteed we'll hit the all-time high. So these are some of the charts I'm looking at to give me direction into the coming week. So once again, the total crypto market cap is at a critical juncture. Does it go up? Does it go down? Based on whether how the candle closes. With Bitcoin, we're looking at a lot more selling pressure if we don't see a bounce up and close above certain key levels in the next 2 days. However, Ethereum is looking much more bullish. Again, it kept the trend line, it kept the moving average, it also kept this diagonal trend line, which connects the two previous highs over here. So looking bullish there, and I'm expecting Ethereum to pop up higher. One other thing that captures my attention is that this entire Ethereum consolidation here is just that. It's a bullish consolidation. It's a corrective pattern against the prevalent trend. Okay, so the prevalent trend is obviously up. This is a corrective pattern, which is typically bullish in nature. Here's another corrective pattern. Against the prevalent trend, we get a breakout, we move higher. We're looking at the same in Ethereum unless we break down through the lows at 38.32 this week. So this is what I'm looking for. If you like this, let me know, but this is how I'm approaching the market structure for the coming couple of weeks. This is what I'm seeing, and this will help me make decisions on trades I'm making with other coins. All right, guys, have an amazing week. See you later.